5 Redditors rant and rave and get a few things off their chests. The last one will make you wonder why some people bother to have children. I feel like I need to write this. I don't know why. My older brother was my best friend. He had a severe stutter, but he never let that slow him down. Literally everyone loved him. He was smart, handsome and one of the kindest people I ever knew. He was so fucking nice to me. He used to let me tag along with his friends and always shared any treat he had. We would have sleepovers in his room and just have fun all night. When my brother was 13, he didn't come home from school. I was 10 then. But even then I know that something was very wrong. My dad was a police officer, so everyone suspected it was retaliation for something, because it happens in my country. My father blamed himself every single day. My brother was taken from us for 4 years. 2 years ago, they found him locked in a room. The kidnapper had killed himself and tried to kill my brother too, but had failed. When we found out he was located, we were also happy. But it immediately became obvious that we don't know who's gonna read this, but here goes. In college my live-in GF beat the shit out of me. The store manager where I worked at the time asked me if I was in a fight club. I said I couldn't talk about it. On one occasion, I was hit in the back of the head with one of those small souvenir baseball bats. I went to the police. They told me that if she says I instigated, even yelling at her, they'd lock me up. After that she really got violent because she knew the law was on her side. After nearly a year of abuse I finally found my strength and broke up with her. She punched herself in the face and called the police. I was arrested for domestic assault and eventually spent 6 months in jail. There I was called Shawshank. They were the only ones to believe me. I had to plead guilty after 5 months so I could get out. If I had continued to maintain my innocence, my lawyer guaranteed me 4 years minimum. It's basically ruined my life. Recently I got my dream job, but when they ran my background check they fired me. I'm an ex-con because the system is fucked and women who are abusive are allowed to lie and manipulate it. Thanks for reading about my little slice of hell. I hope you never have to go to jail for something you didn't do. Edit. Holy shit, thank you. Each and every one of you who believes me and supports me, thank you. I still think I'm largely the proverbial ex-con woman beater in the eyes of the world, but reading your comments has helped to ease that perception. For those of you who think I've never done time, all I can say is that I wish your reality was my reality. But I've got a rap sheet and I can light a cigarette with a sheet of toilet paper, some pencil graphite, and an I feel like I need to write this. I don't know why. My older brother was my best friend. He had a severe stutter, but he never let that slow him down. Literally everyone loved him. He was smart, handsome and one of the kindest people I ever knew. He was so fucking nice to me. He used to let me tag along with his friends and always shared any treat he had. We would have sleepovers in his room and just have fun all night. When my brother was 13, he didn't come home from school. I was 10 then. But even then I know that something was very wrong. My dad was a police officer, so everyone suspected it was retaliation for something, because it happens in my country. My father blamed himself every single day. My brother was taken from us for 4 years. 2 years ago, they found him locked in a room. The kidnapper had killed himself and tried to kill my brother too, but had failed. When we found out he was located, we were also happy. But it immediately became obvious that we couldn't celebrate yet. My brother had been severely abused for 4 years. He was not the same person that left us, and I couldn't blame him. He didn't talk, except to scream at my parents and blame them for taking care of him properly. He shut himself in his room and refused to talk to mental health doctors. He ignored me. A year after my brother came back, he committed suicide. My dad found him. I don't think I'll ever forget the wailing my parents made that night. Our whole family is kind of broken. My mom is depressed and sleeps all day. My dad just works 18 hours a day. He can't stand being home. We don't really see each other much, even though we live in the same house. And I'm just here, wondering what I'm doing. I sometimes fantasize about going to hell and beating them fin bastard who tortured my brother to a bloody pulp. Break every fucking bone in his piece of shit body. I want to tear that pig's eyes out. I'm so angry sometimes I feel like my brain is going to burst. It's so fucking unfair. I never even got to hug my brother again after he came back. He wouldn't let me. And it's a regret that keeps me up at night a lot. Despite what happened to my brother, I'll always remember the way he was. The best brother I could have ever had. And I'm so sad he had to go through what he did. The light in his soul was taken. My girlfriend raped me, and I don't know how to deal with it. I don't want to go up into a huge description of how it happened. I just wanted it off my chest. I was young and helpless, and she took advantage of me. Now I can't trust anyone. It's not that I hate women, or anyone, for that matter. It's just that I don't trust them. I did a throwaway, because I don't even trust my main account for this. It's scary to admit that you were taken advantage of, because you never know how it's going to turn out. And especially if you're a man, I feel like people just don't care. But she raped me. And it makes me feel small and ashamed, and I don't know how to deal with it. I don't trust women now. Not because I have a predisposition against them, but because it really messed me up. I just needed someone to know. Even if I can't say it with my own name. Edit, since I feel more confident now, after realizing it's a throwaway, I guess I'll elaborate. I was too drunk to move. I kept telling her no, and kept trying to shove her off of me, but I was too weak to keep her off. Things progressed and then, after she told me that obviously I was into it, since I got hard. It could have happened to anyone, because she stimulated me. But I, personally, didn't want it, and I wasn't fully conscious. It just felt wrong. Afterwards I was shamed for how bad I was in bed and I fucking hate it. Nobody has ever listened to me. I just wanted it off my chest. I'm still in shock. I'm heartbroken. My GF and I have been dating for 4 years. We live together. During that time she has been obsessed with a very minor YouTube musician. He has a few videos with a couple million views and a small following. During our entire relationship she has always claimed that he was her exception. I always assumed it was a joke. I'd fire right back with my celebrity crush. Well, he went on tour and played in the city near us at a small venue. She went with a coworker to see him. After the concert she didn't come home that night or answer my texts. I assumed she slept over the coworkers since she lives closer to the venue. She came home the next morning and didn't talk about the concert much. I asked questions and got vague answers, which was odd. I assumed she was tired. Later that day she broke the news to me. It was bizarre. She said it with a smile on her face, as though I was going to be happy and excited for her. I'm heartbroken. I was yelling, we were both crying. She said she didn't know how I'd react, but she didn't think it would be this extreme. She said I always knew he was her exception. I didn't think she was serious. I'm currently staying in a motel and I don't know what to do. I love her so much, but I cannot think about her without thinking about what she did. She has tainted my memory of her. I cannot help but think that clearly she does not love me unconditionally like she claims she does, because this is not love. Clearly I'm not the one she is obsessing over, even though she is the one who I have always obsessed over. If I'm not enough for her, then I don't know if I ever will be. And it clearly seems as though I'm not enough for her. I'm lost. I'm hurt. I'm alone. Edit, just wanted to thank everybody so much for the support. This blew up like I never imagined, and the support that flew in was unbelievable. I'm hurt and still heartbroken. I don't know if anything will heal this. But I was never expecting this amount of support. Thank you to everybody. Note, apparently because I say cut and bitch and other rude names in this, it's not acceptable material for r/off-my-chest or r/raised by narcissists. Fuck thought police. Hope this is okay here. Warning, I call my mother all sorts of names in this post. So hey, I normally hate posting in subreddits like this, but need a bit to vent out my frustrations and feelings on this. I should give some background. I'm 27. My mother's 47, soon to be 48 in May, and I wasn't raised much by her. My parents married. Once my mother got pregnant, my mother was 20, my father was 26. They were already engaged, but definitely rushed things because of me. For the next 3 years, my parents were together, and I recall that era of my childhood as mostly happy. My mother was stay-at-home, and my father worked hard. They were the definition of quixotic. They wanted to open a bed and breakfast and have my mother do painting while my father did the cooking. He's an excellent chef. Then my mother got pregnant with my brother, and as my father, grandmother, and aunt recount, my mother basically became a bitch to my father. He was working 12-hour days to support the family, and he'd come home to have me not bathed, not fed, etc., and my mother watching TV. Clothes would be dirty, and she would just argue with verbally abuse him. My brother was born 6 months into this with minor complications, and my mother basically offloaded it all to my grandmother. Eventually my father couldn't take it, had an affair with a coworker, and my mother found out, threatening to kill him. My grandmother took me out of the house. She couldn't take my brother because he was still nursing, that's what she claimed. I was raised by her for over a year, while my mother aggressively tried to separate from my father, who, to his credit, said he fucked up, and he came to his senses and said, "For the sake of my kids, I want you back." My mother became even more of a cuss and said no, and moved into my aunt's house, where she became a drunken freeloader. My father easily got custody of me and my brother, and he quickly remarried. I'm not going to say my father is perfect, especially in this era, as he became an alcoholic and wasn't always responsible, but he never abused me or my brother. My stepmother loved me and my brother, but she is heavily bipolar and never quite been right in that regard. She basically became my brother's mother, as he claims to have had little memory of my mother. I quickly became attached to my birth mother, and when she started requesting visitation, she filled my head with lies about my father and manipulated me. This, combined with my stepmother's bipolar disorder, which caused her to verbally abuse me, not my brother. I grew up in a difficult environment. My father struggled with alcoholism until 2004, when he became sober, but I saw him even less because he went to work in the Gulf. I stayed close with my mother, who continued to manipulate me. She always complained about being poor, always mooched off of whatever boyfriend would take her. My mother has always been considered an attractive woman, and more. Then I graduated from high school as an honor student, and moved out of state to go to school. I struggled academically, and then in my second semester the rug got pulled out from under me. My brother discovered my stepmother was having an affair and had stolen nearly $7,000 from his college fund. Everyone in the family was collectively devastated. I ended up dropping out due to lack of money and poor academic performance, and moved in with my mother, started working. I didn't realize, until I moved in with her, just how manipulative and neurotic she was. For instance, I worked in a call center, and I would come home hoarse from speaking nearly constantly for 8 hours. I didn't want to talk. She would take me not wanting to say much as an indication I was mad at her, and threatened to kick me out. I paid rent to her boyfriend, and he spent it on weed, but he was chill, so we never had any problems. She got mad at me that he was spending his money how he wanted, instead of buying her things. She got into fights with him, and tried dragging me in. Several times I spent nights at coworkers' or girlfriends' houses, just to get away from her. Despite all of this, I loved my mother, but eventually moved back in with my father. I realized through living with him, he was a broken man. He had relapsed in 2013. During the second divorce, into alcoholism and, while an incredibly flawed man, he confessed to me that he loved me and my brother with all of his heart, and that I broke his heart continuously as a teen by saying I hated him and parroting what my mother said. Since then, my relationship with my father has improved, and I forgave him for his misdeeds. He never gave up on me, and he forgave his second wife, my stepmother, for her betrayal, though he keeps her at arm's length and has control of her kids' college funds, so she can't steal them. Through all of this, my brother suffered. My mother continuously put him in neglectful and bad situations. Like when he was 9, she got a booty call from a strange man, and she dragged my brother over there, and my brother was uncomfortable. She told him to go play in the other room. He cried for 8 hours without a phone or any way for anyone to know he was all alone, while she was getting laid. She barely acknowledged him for months at a time, while going out to party and hang out with her girlfriends. I never knew any of this. She always guilt-tripped and manipulated him, so my poor brother has been broken up by this. And then tonight, she sent my father and grandmother screed about them being gun owners, about them having nice houses, jobs, etc., while she's destitute, and threatened to sue them and stuff. I saw what she wrote, and angrily called her, and told her to stop harassing everyone I care about, and she blew up at me, trying to play the "I'm your mother" card. She's previously called me a Fox News mouthpiece for simply telling her that no, I'm not interested in her political discussions. She's been petty whenever I criticize her, so all at once I exploded. I'll quote what I said. "Do you think I'm joking when I say I've had enough? I'll cut you out of my life. I'm not sure what you think you're accomplishing by attacking everyone around you, but I'm done sitting around, you selfish bitch." You wonder why Taku, fake name for my brother, distanced himself from you? It's because you're a toxic, entitled cunt who has manipulated everyone around you. You listen to nobody. Not me, not Taku, not your mother, not your sister or brother. You're a terrible human being. She responded saying I'm a disgusting excuse for a son, that my girlfriend is a fucking matryoshka, sick doll with a painted smile, that my father manipulates me, I don't even live within 100 miles of my father, and while I see him regularly, we don't interact daily, much less influence each other, and that she should have aborted me. This crushed me. I responded a final time saying I was blocking her number, that she was a moronic cunt who can't even admit when she's wrong, and that I never wanted to hear from her again. Then I hit the block button, drank an entire pint of soju, and spent the evening hitting my head against a wall. I don't want to hate my mother. I don't want things to be this way. But she's done nothing but hurt everyone around me, and I got sick of it. I'm gonna confess. I'm worried she'll kill herself and then name me as the reason she did. But I didn't want to soften my blow. I only did this because I'm sick of her mind games. I want a relationship with my mother, but I'm sitting here devastated because she fucking said I should have been aborted. Let me be clear. I know I'm not a model human being. Some people here can probably check my post history and see my clear cynicism. But I just needed to get this out. I don't want pity or sympathy. I just needed to get it out in a semi-anonymous way. Thank you for reading. Thank you for watching. Code M. Hit the like button, comment and subscribe to see new videos daily. To paraphrase my best friend, you humans have probably never considered that may be the endless hours of your pointless existence are given some structure and meaning through reading about the victories and failures of others. Maybe they help you concentrate, so just maybe you think of something more worthwhile to do with your sorry life. She's so cruel. So cruel, and so right.